How's everyone doing today? Today we are making one of my favorite dishes. It is a French stew that goes by the name of chicken fricassee. Now this is a chicken base with a nice wine sauce, creamy wine sauce, mushrooms, onions, thyme, bay leaf. A lot of good flavors in there, okay? All right, now let's go over the ingredients. What you're gonna need 4 chicken thighs, 4 chicken drumsticks. Gonna need a half of an onion. Gonna need 2 garlic cloves, 300 grams of white mushrooms. Gonna need a bay leaf, some fresh thyme, some heavy cream, chicken stock, white wine, and 3 tablespoons of flour. I'll put in the description the exact measurements so you guys can follow along really easily. We're gonna start with making some fresh mashed potatoes because this stew goes very well over potatoes. Some people do it with noodles. Some people do it over rice. But we're just gonna start cutting up some potatoes. I prefer Yukon Gold potatoes when I'm making mashed potatoes. But you're just gonna chop them up, put them in 4 different cuts. If you've never made fresh mashed potatoes before and you just use the bags, it is so much better when you make them fresh. They're so easy. You just put them in for a boil until they're soft. You just keep poking them with a fork until it goes through nice and clean, and then you throw them in the bowl with a little butter, salt, and pepper to taste. Mix them up and they're done, and they're so delicious. Right, guys, I just filled the pot up with water up until the potatoes are completely submerged, and you're just going to want to turn the stove on and bring those up to a boil. And like I said, let them boil until you can put a fork right through them and there's no resistance at all. Then we're going to drain them. I'll keep you guys through the process. Time to get the onion and the garlic ready. So it's just kind of going to be a rough chop on this garlic. It doesn't need to be too fine. It's just gonna stew up in there for a while. Just cut this up. And as I said last video, I like to keep a bowl around for any garbage as we're cutting up. It just makes it so much easier. And when you're doing garlic, just always smash it down. Makes it the easiest to peel. And the fresh garlic, fresh onion, so much better. Adds so much more flavor than the onion powder and the garlic powder. They can coincide. You can definitely use both of them in the same recipe. It'll only enhance the flavor, but if you can afford the fresh garlic, it is so much better. Next, we're going to mince up this garlic. Just going to chop it up nice and fine. And this recipe is one of my favorites. It's one of the first recipes that I started making, and honestly, it's a treat anytime I decided to make it. Anytime I've ever made it for anybody, they've loved it. It's a nice hearty stew. It's almost like a paprikash, but it's got way more flavor, and I love chicken paprikash. This garlic looking nice and minced. Now we're gonna get to prepping that chicken. Now we're gonna work on this chicken. So the first step on this chicken is gonna be able to pat it nice and dry so the seasoning sticks even better to the chicken. Let's start with the drumsticks. Do the thighs. Flip them over. You can do thighs or breasts, it really doesn't matter. Some people prefer one over the other. Alright, but now that they're dry, We got a mixture of salt and pepper here. This is 1 teaspoon of salt and a ½ teaspoon of pepper. And I'm just gonna put that on the chicken here. Flip it over. Get it on both sides here. All right. Starting to come together. Now that butter's starting to melt, we're gonna get this chicken out of here. So you're gonna want to only do the thighs or breasts first, because what we're just trying to do here, we're not trying to fully cook these, we're just trying to brown them up. So we're gonna leave those on there for about 4 minutes for one side. We're gonna flip them over, do a minute, have both sides nice and browned up. Then we're gonna take them out and we're gonna do these drumsticks here, and then they'll finish cooking in the stew as it sits and simmers. So let's get this chicken cooking up, and I'll get back to you after that. After you've let these brown up for about 6-7 minutes total, I'm gonna take them out. So they're not done at this point, so do not eat them. Put them aside. And you're gonna put these drumsticks in next. And you're gonna do these 3 sides, not 4, but just 3, for 2 minutes a side. So it's gonna be 6 minutes total on these drumsticks, letting them cook up. And then you're gonna start building up this stew. At this point, take the drumsticks out and they're browned up. However, obviously these are not done. Put it with the other chicken. Next, I'm gonna throw in 300 grams of white mushrooms. Throw those in there. And the onions. At this point, we're also gonna throw 3 sprigs of thyme in there. And thyme is a great herb. It adds so much flavor. And unfortunately, I don't have fresh bay leaf today, so we're going with the dried. But it still adds a really nice flavor. Throw that in there. We're gonna let that simmer, let those mushrooms become translucent, and then give it about 5 minutes on there, and that should be good. And we'll start adding in our liquids. Alright guys, at this point, it's been about 5 minutes. You want to add in that garlic that we cut up. You also want to add in your 3 tablespoons of flour. Quickly stir that in there. Obviously, you want to make sure that it's not, you want to basically get it to where it doesn't look like flour. Let it cook in there and translucent. This process should only take 30 seconds to a minute. Kind of stick to it. You don't want that white flour residue all over those. Does that, I'm going to go grab the broth and the wine. We're going to want to add in our ½ cup of white wine and our 3 cups of chicken stock. Let that get up to a simmer. Of course, we're going to add back in our meat as well. Add that in there. Make sure it's nice and submerged. And of course, add that juices back in there. That's all flavor. Guys, it's been cooking for about 10 minutes. Let's take a look. bubbling. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to leave it cooked just like that. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. It's a hair above medium. We'll turn it down to a hair below medium. We're going to let it cook for about another 20 minutes, and that'll ensure that this chicken gets done. And then we got one more step after that, and it'll be ready to enjoy. I got the potatoes drained. I got a half stick of butter in there that I chunked up into smaller pieces so it doesn't get in the mixer. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna take the mixer and you're gonna just put it in there, start mashing them a little bit. And you're just gonna mix them up. And then you're gonna add your salt and pepper in to taste. Almost forgot, I like to add a little bit of milk in there. Just a dash of milk. Alright, and now you just add some salt and pepper to taste. Mix it up one more time. And you got delicious, creamy, homemade mashed potatoes in about 20-30 minutes. It's been simmering for about 20 minutes. At this point, the chicken should be done. I would urge you just to make sure. You know, some people like to use thermometers. I've cooked this a bunch of times. I do know that this chicken is done. But it all depends on the size of your pieces as well. If you have a big piece in there, it might take a little bit longer. But at this point, I'm going to take this chicken out. Oh, it smells so good. It smells so good. I can't wait to dig in. And take all this chicken out and then set that aside. You're gonna add in this 2/3 cup of heavy cream in here. It's gonna help thicken up the sauce. Use this, stir that in. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna bring that back up to a simmer. It should get up to a simmer pretty fast considering didn't really add that much in there. At this point, you could take that bay leaf and that thyme out of there because you're not going to eat that stuff. You're not supposed to eat it. It's just supposed to add flavor. Take it out now, but usually I'll just leave it in there and just not even, you know, I'll pull it out as I get it because it's only 3 thyme sprigs in one leaf. So, but you see it's starting to bubble again. So very soon we're going to add back in that meat. But at this point, put that meat in again. And I like to make sure that's completely submerged in there. Oh yeah. All right, guys. Well, at this point, it's done. Let's get to plating it up. Now we're gonna go and plate this up. First, I'm gonna grab a really nice lump of mashed potatoes. After you get those potatoes on there, I'm gonna grab you a nice piece of chicken out of there. Put that right on top. Grab some more of that sauce. Those mushrooms and onions. Grab that piece of thyme out of there. And I like to garnish with a little bit of fresh parsley. And that's the dish, guys. Alright guys, it's all done. I'm starving. It looks delicious. I know it's delicious. I've had it before. But we're going to try it out, see how it came out this time. You won't even need a knife. Get some of those mushrooms, some of that chicken. So delicious every single time. There's no failing on this recipe. This is an amazing recipe. I hope you guys try it. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. Hope you guys had a great day. And I'll see you on the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let me know what you want to see next.